Hello, hello everybody. I want to show you some stuff of research on black and white. Okay, for many years I really like black and white, and I am very frustrated not having done a feature film in black and white. So I'm trying to test a lot of tools with this. With any type of camera, and I had the luck to have the Varicam LT. And Varicam LT is an interesting camera because you can get rid of the infrared cut filter. So I have, so very quickly, I am a cinematographer, and I'm working as consultant at the technical committee of Imago, and I'm a honorary member of the Canadian Society of Cinematographers. Well, so a special thanks for Nela and Luc, because they helped me a lot to design this experience, and Olivier Cartier from Visual Impact, the rental house, and Jérôme Validier, the colorist at Camerimage. So, about black and white imaging, I'm very influenced by a man called Muzaraka, was a cinematographer of Jack Tournage, and I made a lot of research on black and white film stocks, Kodak, Ilford, Gevart, Dupont de Nemours, and I tried to simulate all this black and white film in digital. So I analyzed the curves and many technical things which are not really interesting to describe. And so my research are on black and white digital stocks. And I do think that we can do one part on the camera and one part in the post-production. So the fact that we have infrared and the possibility to get rid very easily of the infrared cut filter on this camera, you can get rid one day or 1 hour, and you can replace it, is very interesting for me, and that's why I do consider that these two types, black and white digital stocks and infrared, in digital cameras and digital workflows, can lead to very interesting results. So, regarding black and white, there are several paths with different results. But first, of course, standard digital cameras as in front of the sensor, Bayer pattern, generally for digital cinema, and infrared high haircut filter. And there is several options. The option one is shooting with a black and white digital camera without Bayer color pattern, for example, with Alexa or the red. So it means that you don't have any Bayer pattern. You just use a sensor, the black and white sensor, and you can get rid of the infrared cut filter. But it's for me, it's interesting to have the possibility to use the infrared filter or not. I was interested in not this option, which is the general option to shoot colors, and you're creating black and white in post during grading. I was more interested in this third option, shooting color without infrared cut filter. But I was creating the black and white in post, okay? So I was shooting color without the infrared cut filter. So it's a path which is a little bit different. It's very strange to grade such image. It's really awful to grade, but results is interesting. So on the Panasonic option of the Varicam LT, there is a detachable infrared cut filter. And this is interesting, and you're replaced by a neutral filter for conserving the same flange depth. And it's pretty easy to do that. So you can go fast, and you can decide to have the infrared filter on one sequence or another, as far as your focus flood know how to do it. So just to describe this film, it was a 24 frame PS and a 4K DCP. We've been shooting in AVC Intra 4K 10 bits 422, not RAW, it was not ready at this moment. And we shoot with Vlog, and we use the dual native ISO at two different style with 800 at 800 ISO native, and at 5000 ISO I only use for two shots, 1250 and 2500. But on the white balance, I made extensive use of selection between 2400 and 2800. And you can select by degrees by 2010, 2012. And in fact, depending on the colors you have in the frame, it changed totally the results. So regarding the lenses, I was using Canon Prime T1.4 and Cooke Prime T2. And I was using for the monitoring, I was using the Transvideo Starlight and the Transvideo Rainbow for the focus puller, and the Starlight I use for check on the vector scope about the color. So Escapade is directed by Ben Elia, and I just want to tell you that it has been we made some tests by day, and we decided to shoot by night with a young actress and the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to try to explain you what I did, in fact, but first of all, I always try when I'm testing a camera to have some motors, and the first one was to have the importance of controlling colors for the grading. So I have to make some choices. And we wanted to also have the smallest crew to get more time to shoot, because we had a constraints. We were shooting during the European Football Championship in 2016, this year, and there is some heavy security checks in Paris, restricting road traffic around the Eiffel Tower. So it was very hard to reach with a car the Eiffel Tower. So we decided to work with some backpack and a minimum crew. And the team was the actress, the director, the cinematographer, myself, a camera operator, a focus puller, and props. And no gaffers. I was the gaffer and the cinematographer. I'm very old, but I can do that. So the idea was to work with a minimum of equipment, an HMI 200K from 5600. And some LEDs. That's all. We had only this equipment, and we want to give the colorists a maximum of room to handle the hues of colors. So, in fact, the idea was to use the white balance. So it means you can create your own specific, like in many cameras, you can use your specific white balance, but the interest of many cameras nowadays, and in this camera it's open, you can create your correction in magenta and green. I would say that in the future, I would say that if you want to make a black and white, I would have liked to go to plus 50 or plus 80, because I'm going to explain you why. Because, for example, on the vector scope, if I deliver this kind of image for a colorist, it's not so easy to handle. If I give this type of image, I have more room to go faster in terms of enhancing the colors I want. So for example, for this image, you see the green here of the trees. It has been created only to select the white balance and the green selection at plus 30. And you see, I only put here just an ELA of 15 watts. So it's not very big to lit all these trees. When I was looking in the camera, I didn't see a lot of things. So in my viewfinder, but in fact, the information were there. So for example, under the bridge, to get this image, we started from this image, okay, with very strange colors of the Eiffel Tower. Believe me, you will never see the Eiffel Tower like this. And we made some selections, and we make some grading just to give the contrast and to have more information coming from the yellow. We enhance only the yellow, and we enhance the stars because we made a selection very easy because of the infrared cut filter out of the camera and this white balance. And we went from this to arrive to this type of image. So for example, this is the chrominance selection on another shot. This was the image. And we make this selection, and the fact I push the white balance selection, I can go very easily to select this image. It could have been very hard if I have shot with a black and white camera without pattern, without a Bayer pattern. So I arrived to a selection very, very easily and very quietly and very smoothly to do that. And we went very, very fast with the camera, with the grading. So, for example, for the stairs, to arrive to this, we were on this image, and you see the shadow of the trees on the wall was selected only through the magenta channel of the white balance. This was the image we had in post-production, and we went to this very easily. So if you're shooting RAW, you can do this selection, but generally on the RAW systems, depending on the cameras, you can go so far in selecting the green or the magenta. And I think it's something that we should investigate to have more possibility if you're doing black and white. So filmmakers, cinematographers, colorists, what do we want? And this is Imago request. We want a point of view on camera and on grading session, of course. If I speak about this camera very quickly, with my point of view of on the technical side and on the drama side, because when I am on a set, I don't care about digital stuff like bit, like 10 bits, 422, or I care about actors and I care about what I have to do. And on this camera, it was pretty easy to handle the situation. I only use 2 times the 1250 and 1 time the 2500. And I have to say that I was very surprised with a 10-bit 422 system having so less noise. So I think the color science is very well done because I was at the limit of having no information in the low light. And I think my friend Antoine will say you certainly similar things. And I push in the grading session, we push very far away without having 444 RGB or RAW. And I was pretty impressed by the quality of this recording format. So for me, it's important to speak about a little bit about this point of view. But to speak about the future, and as member of the Imago Technical Committee, knowing that we have this format, knowing that we can do such things, come from the fact that we are able nowadays to exchange with manufacturer and to find solutions, to tell them what we need, what we want, and what we want from manufacturers. We want maximum of control on the workflow. We want friendly, simple menus, and if you need to open the black box, okay, we want the maximum of open parameters on the camera. That's the request that we have in many manufacturers. And I have to say that on this camera, it's a very good start to open the black box. Thank you. And if you want to have some questions, it will be a pleasure.
So this is just by taking the infrared actually effective.
Yeah, just smooth light, and I put a lot of diffusion. If I remember, it was the famous parachute from Lee Filter, the parachute net. I don't remember the name of that. I use a lot of. In fact, I use a lot of diffusion on the lamps because it was too strong.
Yeah. Thank you. Good.
So I was impressed by the quality. Even at 800 ISO, I had a lot of information without need of more lighting equipment. Philippe Kovshin from Warsaw.
It looks that Philippe knows everybody in this audience.
That's it.
Hello. I have a question regarding different ISO levels. Did you find any differences when using a system without IR filters on it? When, for example, shooting 800 comparing to 5000 on the skin tones? Thank you.
To be honest, when you're getting rid of the infrared filter, the skin tone is very strange. So I can't answer this question because honestly, when I was grading in color, skin tone and all the color was totally flashy and totally different than what you're used to do. So I can't speak about this. I made some tests on the Varicams 1.5 years ago between the difference on 800 and 5000. I didn't see a lot of difference. Did you? So I can't answer such a question. I think it's a very interesting test, certainly, but you know, it was very intuitive because I use only a small monitoring from Transvideo, the Starlight with a vectorscope. And if I saw that I was able to enhance a hue of colors, I took it, even if it was totally strange, because the fact that we are shooting in the streets with sodium and mercury lamps, if they are not giving a regular spectral response. So what I did was very intuitive, and as far as I give more possibility to the colorists, it was fine for me. Any other questions?
More questions?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.